Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek podcast. Friday Fun Day, Ambassador style, with your host, Sam Byler. And man, I am so excited and honored to be here tonight. Seems like I say that every week because I get great guests. It's just everybody that I get to talk to, I get excited about it. We've had some people on here that we didn't know who they were. We didn't know what their service was or what they were doing. But I'm here to tell you guys that tonight, I have a new friend on here. He's not been around us real long, but I want to tell you something. This dude has wiggled his way inside my head and heart faster than anybody I've ever seen before. Jeremy Barker, how in the world are you doing tonight?
I'm good, Sam. Thanks for having me. I'm blessed to be here.
So we were just talking a little bit ago, and I said, "Man, I got to get this thing kicked off because you're already going into stuff I want to hear, that I want people to hear about what we're doing here." So just as part of an introductory, you are very similar to what I am in the shed industry, in the tile industry.
Yes,
You
sir, I am.
travel a lot. You're well known. You got some good products out there. Your wife's involved with you. Just give me a brief rundown of what you do.
Well, they call me the Billy Graham of tile here in the South. And I went into the tile industry about 10, 12 years ago, and then I got heavy involved in education. And then got an opportunity to sit on boards of directors with manufacturers and being ambassadors for manufacturers of different products to build tile showers and waterproofing and all that good stuff. And as you can see in this background, this is my brand, Illumination. This is a patented product, shower niche with an LED lighting system. And I'm a partner in this business and one of the original founders of it. And I traveled 46 cities last year, spreading the word and kind of, training and advocating for the industry and people to learn the trade and do it the right way and to have an industry that's involved. So I created what you call the Carolina Tile Posse, which is a group of network of installers. And there's many groups in the tile industry, but this group stands out because all we advocate for is helping each other out and
Nice.
education. And I basically do like what you do in the shed industry. So when I met you, I was like, this guy does exactly like what I do, but with sheds, how much cooler. And then I got, well, we'll get back to that, but I got my wife involved in it years ago, and I've got cleaned up and turned my life around, and I had to fire all my help because they weren't good, supporters of my sobriety, so I got to get rid of all of them guys. And I told my wife she was going to come to work with me. And Bathmatic is my company, Bathmatic Custom Tile and Shower, and Illumination is one of my brands. And I got her involved, and now she's involved in the industry, going to trade shows with me, has her own podcast for women in tile and all that good stuff. She won a Rock Star Award and Woman Craftswoman of the Year. We're going in April down to Orlando to cover a tile show for that ceremony. But basically, yeah, I'm just, an advocate for education. I set tile, I sell the products to do it. I can hook you up with contractors anywhere in the United States. I know that I got a database of contractors, and I'm a designer, a plumber, a craftsman, a stonemason, all those things by trade. So that got me into the industry. But I just admire what you guys have built here. I don't want to dive deep into it yet, but what I've seen with your industry is it's made me go back and tell my buddies and colleagues, hey, we need to step it up.
Yes.
You don't realize how far behind we are compared to these guys. These guys, they just sell sheds and barns and chicken coops, and they deliver them, and it's cool. You know what I mean? It's touched my heart to see how you guys come together. And I've had Johnny Stolfus here with me last week, and he believes that I'm going to be in the shed industry. He thinks that I'm going to be done in the tile industry, and I'm going to be merging over to a new industry. So he told me a lot of things, about what he thought we was doing, and it brought, it brought a heartfelt sense to me, and what better guy to have than Sam Byler with me? So, I'm like, well, we've delivered a lot of sheds up here, and I'm looking at the sheds and the way that they're built and, and different concepts and things. And I'm looking, I'm an innovator. I like the
Yep.
design and I like to cultivate something that could help the industry if I want to contribute to whatever I'm involved in.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but that's just a little bit about me. But I'm blessed to be
Tell
here,
me,
and I
tell
thank
me,
God every day that I met you, Sam.
yeah, tell me just a little bit about your tools in schools program.
Well, Put Tools in Schools was developed in 2022 by a good friend of mine, Ray Terry, and we also have a radio show called About Your House on Fox Sports Radio Saturday mornings,
Oh,
and I'm a co-host there. So I've been out of it. I've done one show since the storm, and
well, thing since the storm, nothing counts right now.
I know, but I got into that with Ray, and Ray had this good vision. He's like, the trades are lost. You're a
That-
tradesman. You're an advocate for safety. He's
Yep.
like, you lost your limb to a power saw accident. He's like, you need to be involved. So I got to thinking how I could incorporate myself into it. So we developed Put Tools in Schools to go into local high schools to basically go in front of a career day where they're pushing college, military, more military, and you'll get lifeguards and the medical stuff that comes through there, but the trades are very small. The trucking industry is bigger than the trades.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and we've seen that like,
Yep.
Bowman and these freight companies,
Hmm.
Swift drivers. That's where they get them Swift drivers at. Uh, they
Yep.
come from the recruitings. They recruit them kids and then they take them off. But when them kids go to that career day, they see the trades. And when they come through that door, and I've got a plumbing company, an electrical company, a brick company, and then our tile company, and all these different cool things. And we got all of our tools out there. That's where Put Tools in Schools was kind of born, because when we come in, they don't go to talk to the college people. They want to play with drills and hammers and cut
Yep.
and lay bricks
Oh
and
yeah.
glue pipe together, wire stuff up. I gotta have the LED lights out there with the low voltage showing them the circuitry and all that, and how our drivers and everything work.
Yep.
Uh, and it took off. So we go into about 25 to 35 high schools and middle schools and do career days.
Nice.
And we do apprenticeship programs as well, and Jennifer, she is part of She Built This City. It's a foundation for women and girls, young girls that's getting into the trades, that let women know that they are of value in the trades. So I just kind of fell right into that, letting women score and snap and cut tile and play with my tools. I've been doing it all my life. I want them to learn. So, that's how we got involved in that, Put Tools in Schools. But it's a great movement, and
Yeah.
I've been slacked off on it, but next year is going to be huge for us. So we just try to do that, and I also work with veterans, amputees, and recovering addicts.
Nice.
I've been
Yep.
counseling with people for years and helping people, and I fought my way through an amputation and through addiction to come out the other side and still have a positive attitude. And God keeps putting me in there to fight and for to be able to relate to other people is the mission. So now I work with the storm victims, and we're fighting depression and suicide and all up here. And it's just like every day the Lord, he'll challenge me. He'll challenge me with something just about like what I messaged you with the other earlier, you know what I mean? And she just had to go, but anyway, not to ramble on. I believe that what we're doing is what we're led to be doing, and it's our purpose. And we've worked our whole lives. What is this small sacrifice to take off of work and to do this?
Yeah.
And
Well,
I just admire you for it, Sam.
yep. I definitely feel like I have found a I used to use the word kindred spirit. I don't know if you grew up, if you ever read Anne of Green Gables, or a lot of our listeners would have read those books growing up. And Anne of Green Gables, she talks about kindred spirits. Like when you find a kindred spirit, we know what they are, but you're a
Yeah.
kindred warrior.
Amen.
We're out here battling,
Yep.
and you are a kindred warrior. You're willing to step up. You're willing to do something about it.
Unlock the power of productivity with Cardinal Leasing. Are you looking to elevate your business operations with top-tier equipment? Look no further than Cardinal Leasing. We offer a wide range of reliable and high-quality equipment tailored to meet your unique needs. Flexible leasing options. Whether you need short-term rentals or long-term solutions, our customizable leasing plans are designed to provide maximum flexibility and affordability. Conventional financing available. Cardinal Leasing also offers great conventional finance options for those of you that prefer that over-lease purchase options. Expert support. Our team of experienced professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless leasing experience. Boost efficiency. With our top-of-the-line equipment, you can enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and achieve your business goals faster. Why choose Cardinal Leasing? Competitive rates, exceptional customer service, hassle-free process, quick and easy approvals. Don't let outdated equipment hold you back. Partner with Cardinal Leasing today and take your business to the next level. Contact us now. Visit our website at equipment.cardinalleasing.us or call us at 618-803-4086 to get started.
I just got one more thing about tools for school. So some people don't get to watch us on YouTube on here. They just listen to us as they're going through their day. And if they're on the phone call-in line, we have a call-in line too. So they can't see what you're talking about as far as being an amputee, but you're missing an arm. Well, not an arm. You
I
always
still
need.
got it on. It's just a hand missing. So I was 23 years old, and I had a chop saw accident building bathrooms. I basically got my jacket caught into a 12-inch compound slider miter saw, and I was cutting a small return for a piece of crown molding, and it was about 3-4 o'clock in the morning when I ought to have been in bed, and got my jacket caught in there, and one thing led to the next. I went through 3 or 4 surgeries. They couldn't save it. They had to cut it all the way off. I went immediately back to work. I was doing storm drainage work and irrigation work, and I was running my skid steer, and the joysticks pulled this open, and my bone was exposed and lost more blood and had to get it stitched up. And I've got prosthetics and stuff, and I'm better off. I'll use prosthetic when I'm threading a sewing machine or when I'm holding a punch to put a rifle together. That's it. That's all I need it for. But yeah, I lost my left hand at 23 years old. I'm 24 years old, and I'm 38 years old now. So, it's been a hard recovery, but what don't kill you make you stronger.
Thank you. Sure does. And you handle it very well. We joke with you a lot about it. I'm glad we're able to. You take it very well. We're constantly asking you if you need a hand. But dude, you have learned so well how to, I don't want to say get along with it. You've learned how to succeed with it. There's a difference. Some people learn how to get along with what they've got going on. They adjust and they get through life. You are not one bit happy doing that. You succeed at what you're doing. Like Aaron and I, Aaron's to see you run a traco, and you just move that, you maneuver that little handle around like it ain't nothing even to it. It's great.
It saved my life. It saved my life, Sam. It made me a better man. It really did. I wouldn't be who I am today without the struggle, and I'm thankful.
You mentioned you mentioned addictions. What do you know about addictions?
Well, I spent about 10, 12 years in active addiction, crystal meth. Uh, I smoked a lot of meth and run wild for many, many years. I never was without anything. My family never suffered. Nobody suffered except for my wife not
Yep.
having me in the bed beside her. And I run the roads, and that's how I got into tile work. You know what I mean? Because I used to work for Darden. I used to take care of all the Longhorns and Cheddars. If you've eaten a Longhorn and a Cheddars, more than likely I plumbed the place.
Oh wow.
And
Wow.
I worked the night shifts, and I would run 7, 10, 15 days on the road, and they knew. They was like, they said, you get Crashmatic out there, he'll run the road for you. They said, well, he'll go from one job to the next job. I like to drive. And I stayed on the road all the time. And Jennifer's really the only one that really had a real issue with it. But all many years it just, it took me down a spiral of fighting depression and supplying that with the drugs and the alcohol, and it pushed me to a place in my life where I wasn't healthy. I wasn't the man that I should be, and
Yep.
God delivered me in 2020, and October 15th. Not by my own will, but it was a hard
Yep.
landing. I've been clean ever since, and been committed to doing the best I can for myself, but not only myself, but to show others, to be a beacon of light.
Oh man, you have yeah. Most times, I don't even want to ask people about, their pasts or their addictions or whatever, but you have succeeded so well at it that I want people to know. We're going to get into this later, and we're going to talk about hope. It's just a given. You and I can't sit down and have a conversation without talking about hope. And this to me is just a tremendous message of hope to people out there who have friends, who have sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins.
Yep.
There is hope for crystal meth people.
There
Because,
is.
dude, I hear it every day. Every day I hear it on social media. I hear it in phone calls to me. It's ironic that I started this whole storm disaster thing fighting depression and suicide, and look who I got. You show up. And I hear this every day that those people are beyond help. You cannot help somebody who's on crystal meth. You can't help somebody that's addicted to the wrong kind of drugs. You can help other people. They'll talk about that. But they pretty much just wag their head sadly, and they're like, there's no hope for them. And I'm the ever optimistic guy when it comes to giving people hope in where they're at in life. I can be a pessimist about some other stuff. That's fine. But you are a living, breathing, fantastic example of somebody that can get past it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it took me a long time, Sam. It was a struggle. I got a buddy to tell you. He said he picked me up 102 times.
Yeah.
And I always asked him, I said, why you keep helping me? He said, because if I do it 102 and I quit and you never get better, it was all in vain.
Yep.
But if I do it 103 times and you turned out the way you turned out, it was all worth it.
Okay. It's powerful.
That set real with me, man.
I got a big day tomorrow. I have a fully finished 18 by 40 cabin that's going to require 2 to 3 meals to get it delivered. Way back in the sticks and down a dirt lane. With all the rain we've had lately, it's going to be a mess. Well, it needs a bigger mule.
Well, when you talk, Cardinal listens, and you asked for it. With its diesel-powered 69-horse engine and capacity to move 40,000-pound sheds, the Mule 9069 is ready to turn your big days into just another day in the good life.
Ah, that's right. You're talking about the one they had up in Michigan at the shed show. That monster mule, that thing was awesome.
That's right. It's the one you've seen at all the Shed Holler barbecues.
Man, yeah, there's nothing like a little diesel donkey to make my day go so much better.
People used to beg me. They beg me, man. I passed my statute of limitations now, but um, I wore U-Haul out back in the day. I wore U-Haul out. I'd set up shop. I'd work 6 months out of the year and actually go and do tile work, do plumbing work, and run jobs and do things like I'm supposed to do. The rest of the time, I said, no, no, we gonna go play with U-Haul again. We gonna run $1 million through U-Haul. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then we do it. I mean, if I'd sell motor swaps and beds and truck parts. I mean, I'm a scrap man from way back. I turn wrenches. I can wire stuff, plumb stuff. I can do it all, about like you are. And you know, I mean, I ain't never built no stretch trucks though. You know, that fascinated me. But I've got LS swap vehicles. You know, I've done diesel swap stuff. You know, I'm a 12 valve guru and a LS guru. I love them all. And
Right.
you know, I just turned my life around at a point in time where my kids, they needed me. And once I turned my life around and I started building Bathmatic, and Jennifer got on there with me, and I become this wonderful guy in the tile industry. And people was like, oh, look at the one hand cut man. This guy builds bathrooms with his wife. And I started getting that. I realized God showed me how far he brought me. And that give me something in my spirit where I said, well, if I'm out here now and I'm doing this good and everybody's going to see my face, I'm going to be real good at it, because I never been there before. I never had that, you know.
Oh,
so
word.
yeah, I had that hope. So it's like if I can turn one person's idea of their self around while I'm here in these mountains, like I've already have. I've got, you know,
Oh,
a
man.
lady come to me today. She's like, Jeremy, I've got 2.5 months. She's like,
Yep.
she said, I was 11 years old the last time I was sober.
Yeah.
She's
Ooh.
40 years old. She'll be 3 months sober this in the next few weeks. And I told her what that meant to me.
Yep.
She's down there living in one of our sheds. You know where she's at, but
Yeah.
almost 3 months. And I'm like, man, Lord, why me? I come to back this cabin every night. I ask her, I said, why me, Lord? Why me? I got buddies that tell me, hey, you need to calm it down. They're going to put you on the news before it's over with, and everybody's going to see you. I said, well, it's all right. I'm past statute of limitation. I said, I'm at the point in time in life where I want everybody to know, because
Yeah.
they can see what Jesus will do for you and
No.
what hope will do for you. You know, and I'm raggedy and rough as anybody. You know, a couple hours ago, before I sent you that message, I was looking for gas and matches and rope and stuff. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to pray for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You saved me when you said that message you sent me. Well, he's got the law on his side, you know.
I did.
Well, I mean, I hate to touch on that, but I'm going to go
No.
ahead and touch on it. 20-year-old girl, we give
Yeah.
her a shed. She's pregnant. 2 weeks after she gets her shed, she gives birth to the baby. She brings the baby home, put the bassinet in the shed. I never in my life would ever imagine that, to see that. I
Dude,
seen it.
that's
And I
great.
took her everything and put it over there. And when I got that message today that she's having to relocate her shed, so I need a hauler to come back in there, and I've already got, it costs $600+ to get the electrical connected, to buy
Yep.
material, and all that trenching to run that line that McLean and them done, and here it is. God's still telling me just to replace the shed, replace the electrical, replace everything, because
Yep.
I'm too vulnerable to go over there and get involved with this guy, because I don't know what I'm liable to do to him. Now I have a 20-year-old girl. He's a 50-something-year-old man. She's got a 3-week-old baby in there. He comes in there and sexually abuses her.
Yep.
Now she's
Sure.
got to move the shed off the property.
Yeah.
Her mother called me. She's ashamed to call.
Yep.
I don't know what to do except for beg a shed hauler.
Yeah.
Beg
Well,
a shed hauler to come and help us again. Go in there and cut the wire, pull it out. He said we got 72 hours to move it. But
so he
what's
did.
the hope of getting a
Oh, well,
72-hour hauler in here?
no. If he said we can get it, then we'll get it. It's just when I said he's got the law on his side, I meant that we have to get him to agree to let us move the shed. But
Yeah.
if he's verbally done that, we'll get the shed. Don't worry about it.
Well, he's done that. He'll let us get the shed.
Yeah, yeah. No,
But it's
we'll
the
get.
fact of the good Lord keeping me humble, not to go over there and get the shed and then punish the feller. But I don't live like that no more. You know what I mean?
I know. We had another conversation earlier this week. Not we, as in you and I. Me and another guy. And I told him. I said, I can't mention his name because some people on here will know who I'm talking about. But I told him, I said, you're not going to do me any good in jail. That's the only reason I'm not in jail right now is because I won't do anybody any good in jail. Because there's a couple people up there. I'm pretty much I feel the same way you do about. It's crazy. So one of the catches. I'm getting ahead of our story here, but it doesn't matter because we don't care. But
Yeah, I
one
ain't
of the
worried about
is to us putting all these sheds out there, especially the ones where people were renting in apartments, in campers, whatever, and they did not own property. When we set that shed on somebody else's property, 99% of the law says that's his shed,
his property now.
his
Once it
property.
comes off that trailer.
Yep. The minute it comes off that trailer, that's why I tell guys in the shed industry all the time, do not drop that shed unless you've got all your ducks in line that you know exactly what's going on. It's the same way when we go pick them back up again on their RTO, retrievals or whatever. Get that
Yep.
shed on the trailer, and then you've got some ability. Because as long as it's on their property, 99% of the time, the law's on their side. I don't care if you're right or wrong. It doesn't matter. That's just the way it works.
Yep.
So, we'll handle that if that's the case. But it just shows us, the desperation of these people. So you know what? Oh man, this hurts. I was going to make a post this afternoon based on a text message I got today that I probably could go back through my phone and I know I can come up with a dozen. I could probably come up with 24 text messages where I have storm victims that are in abusive relationships. Just
Yeah.
because a storm hits does
Yep.
not mean that abuse stops. And
Well, I met a lady today that said that there is a caseworker that's involved with some society around here, and what she specializes in is sex trafficking post disaster.
wow, post disaster.
Post
That's
disaster
because
sex trafficking
that's when
therapy.
people are vulnerable. I can see that. Yep.
This girl that we're talking about here,
Wow.
she was in a bad spot with that little baby and not having a place to put her shed. She lived down here at D&D by the
Yep.
trailer park that got washed out. And that
Yep.
was another big topic of our meeting today. And I come to get educated on who it is that owns it. The old man died before the storm. He left the property to his autistic son, and that's his only source of income. And he forfeited his disability for autism so he could have that property and be able to reap the benefits, the rent,
No,
and all of it's gone. And now, because he's autistic, nobody wants to help him.
you're kidding.
And then the Buncombe County is pushing him about the road in and out of there,
Yep.
and
Yep.
where he's going to put the road, and he has no money, and they're basically going to force him out of there, force the property just to have nothing, and he'll have to sell. And
Well,
I don't
he'd
know.
have the whole thing like 6 feet up, wouldn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's another thing that they spoke about is all the flood plains and what they're saying about
Changing
where
all
you
that.
got to put it. Yeah, they're changing all that, and just like what the preacher up here went through with lifting his lot up. I mean, there's just a lot going on, and you know, all them that meeting with this new group is something else. They're wanting to bring in all kinds of resources. Tim Burleson and I was there, and Nick Heightshaw, the guy from Camp Unity,
Yep.
he's involved in it, and they're all wanting to come down here to Barnardsville, and none of them have no idea what they're wanting to do or what they can do or how they can do it. And then they all find out they're like, well, here's Jeremy. He's already got infrastructure. He's got everything. I was like, I didn't do all this. God did it.
That's right.
I said, but we got it. And this is what we got to have and what we got to do. And they're interested in helping, but I don't pay attention to nobody saying that until they show
Oh,
up.
I hate. I get accused. I get accused of being rude. I've had quite a few people tell me that even my Facebook posts they're rude. Because of that, we're getting to be to where we're like some of the victims in the fact that we're like, yeah, well, once you show up, I'll actually do something. I've got victims that we show up with their shed and they're like, I can't believe you actually showed up. I had a dozen people tell me they were bringing me stuff. Tiffany, her 17-year-old daughter actually left the property when Marlon was on the way out there with the shed because she did not want to see her mama heartbroken again when nobody showed up. That's crazy. But we see it. We see it every day. So
Everybody's letting them down, except for us.
And then I get messages all the time, from well-meaning other people up there that are working hard, and they're like, "Here, call this guy," and I'm like, "I'm not calling him. He can show up and show me what he's going to do." And I'm getting to be as bad as some of I call them victims. I don't like to call them that. They're survivors, because they're going to get through it. I hate using the term victims as much as I hate when people are on the inside from being locked up from something. I don't call them prisoners. They're still people. They're my people, my church people. Most of my best church people are on the inside. They're human beings just like everybody else. And that's the way we got to look at these. The difference is in Barnardsville, a small area of Micahsville we're working, and Old Fort and Nebo, we're dealing with people that are poor. And they were poor. They made poor decisions. They've had poor life choices long before the storm came. That doesn't make any difference. And we got into it today. Driver called me up and says, "Hey, I'm here, to give these people their shed," and the neighbor's yelling and screaming at me. And I end up having to talk the neighbor down, and it's like, and then another neighbor shows up and it's like, "No, I don't care." You don't understand those people. And these are legit storm victims, that lost everything down in Old Fort on the river. They might have not had much, and they might have been struggling in life. Doesn't matter. And then you move them to a property where somebody's like, "Hey, you know what? I got 10 acres out here. If you want to put a shed out here until you figure out where you're going and what you're doing in life, you go right ahead." Well, it upsets the neighbors. I don't care. And I tell them guys, I'm like, "Look, we're doing the best we can. If you need something, I would help you."
That's right.
Like, "You would?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not my choice who I help. If you need help, I'm here to help." And it totally kind of takes the fire out of them.
Well, I stood up in there and talked tonight, and then another local pastor stood up across the room and he said, "You see Jeremy over there?" He said, "That man has fixed homelessness in our community." Him and Sam, they've not only fixed the community as people that needed a shelter or a place to stay, but they've cured homelessness. Have you noticed there ain't anybody in tents anywhere around here no more? And I was, amen.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey," and I've been persecuted by half the people in that room that said, "Why are you helping them? They were drug addicts. They were poor before the storm." And then Tim looks at me and grins because he's one of the guys that said it. You know what I mean? In the beginning, "Well, you shouldn't help them. They're drug addicts. They were poor before the storm." I was like, "Tim, I'm an old drug addict too." I said, "I was once just like them."
What
I was
I
like,
mean, what I don't understand what better way we can have to give someone. I did an episode with a guy that's just as popular in the shed industry as I am, Richard Miller. You haven't had the opportunity to meet him yet. You will if you stick around long enough. He's a real close friend of mine. Richard did an episode with me a couple of weeks ago. It ended up being a 2-part episode, which this one probably will too. He said, "What you're doing is you're giving people hope," and I'm
yeah,
like, "Would you? Who better to help and give hope to?" Now, I'm not a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not a respecter of people. I'll get if a millionaire got hit by his house and he needs a place to stay warm for a while, I'll give him a shed. I don't care.
man.
But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to give the guy that's been struggling his whole life and's been living on the corner down there and everything he owned, including his 67 car, that had all the serial, everything matched numbers on it, went down the river. That's all the man owned. I'm still going to give him a shed. And I cannot ask for a better opportunity to minister to somebody than somebody that's in that position.
Introducing the Challenger, the revolutionary new shed mover that's taking the industry by storm. The Challenger features a touchless design, ensuring it only makes contact at the end of the skids and the bottom of the floor joists, so rest easy knowing your gable walls will remain pristine. Worried about reliability? Fear not, the Challenger is always up for the challenge and will not overturn or scuff your shed. Harness the power of innovative wireless technology. Remotely control the Challenger via your smartphone. No cell service needed. And guess what? The cell phone remote comes standard with every Challenger at no extra cost. Featuring floating forks, a 4-directional tilting mast, and sliding weight transfer, move the shed weight precisely where you need it to get ultimate traction. With self-loading capability, straight onto your truck, say goodbye to the need for a hydraulic carriage. The Challenger makes your job easy and more efficient. Choose from 2 machine sizes, 10,000 pounds and 15,000 pounds. Perfect for any job. Visit www.shedchallenger.com or email us at info@shedchallenger.com or call or text 828-220-3508 for more information. Experience the future of shed moving with the Challenger.
I've got to where I had a lady call me from, what is it, NAM, N-A-M, or whatever the other day.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I don't understand why you're still working in Buncombe County. I believe you and Sam are wasting your time in Buncombe County because there's no need for sheds down there. She said, she said, who's in charge of your vetting department? Who vets your stuff? I said, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm going over a mountain. I'm losing you. Click. I've done it to donors. I had a guy that donating $1,000 a month, pledging $1,000 a month since the beginning of the storm. He called me up and he sent me 2 pictures of where I was talking about earlier. The girl down there, he said, if these are the kind of places you're going to put sheds, somebody in Barnesville sent me these pictures, said these are local drug addicts and prostitution houses across the street. If you're going to help them kind of people, I'm not going to give you $1,000 no more. I said, how many months did you send me $1,000? Would you like me to send you your money back?
Yeah.
I said, but don't send me no more money. I said, I'm going to stroke you a check from Bathmatic and pay you your money back. And he's like, no, that's not the point. But I'm telling you that I'm not going to support you. And I'm going to tell other people not to support you because you're out here helping the people that don't need help. I said, that's fine. If that's the people that's wanting to help me, I don't need your help.
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I mean?
Yep.
I don't need it. I
And
just
that's
got to where I hang up on them.
called rude.
Well, they told me, they said, we'd much rather deal with Sam. I said, well,
Oh, that's the best joke dude. That's the joke.
I felt honored. I'm like, Sam's good. I'm like, if I can outdo him.
I want this episode to go down as the what do you call it? The pendant of my episodes. That the fact that I'm this guy here. I need episode sponsored by Bathmatics that proves that. Oh,
That's,
because
that's it.
everybody listening on there is like, man, you don't know that guy very good. That guy will put you in your place in a heartbeat.
That's it. I mean, and it was like, since the beginning, I think the little bit of strife that we do get is minute to the amount of
Oh,
hope that we do deliver and the good and the positive that comes out. And I don't even let it phase me. I used to let it bother me what the people in the community said because I've dove deep into this community, being
yeah,
on the farm here and trying to put things together, and living from Mr. David Carson's perspective, with this farm and
yep,
everything that he's done for me. I try to look through his eyes and his vision. And I just hope and pray to God that I don't get 75 years old and get all my life and everything in order and nothing take it away like it has his.
yes,
I
yeah.
couldn't imagine,
Let's
and
talk about that a little bit because you bringing that up brings us up to the fact of where you were when you first ran into our organization. You didn't run into me for a while.
no.
Um, you
Okay.
randomly showed up on one of my haulers videos. And I'm like, who is this cat? And what does he think? What does he think he's doing?
Well, it's a funny thing. I wanted to get to that. You know, I done the chainsaw work. I spent the first couple days running, ground ops for Operation Hilo, and being a GI Joe and a ground op guy, I was out my side by side, my rifle and my satellite phone and my night vision and infrared and all that, and I'm out there searching. But I was, rebuked from the Cajun Navy because they said I was vigilant. We found the remains of a girl's foot, and they wanted to go to face or TikTok live. They were going to go TikTok live, and they were joking. And they're like, "Well, we found a foot. I wonder where the rest of her is." And I basically lost it and went off on them, knocked their
Yeah,
phones out of their hands, got in a fight with two second recon, third recon soldiers, Operation Afghanistan. Heroes. Decorated war medal honored heroes. I'm out there swinging a 2x4 around like a Ninja Turtle,
like a
and
one in a fight.
so they tried to attack me. They tried to team up on me. So and I was outnumbered. So I had to do what I had to do, and I got run out of Pensacola, and I had some buddies that come up here to back me up. They were ex-combat guys as well. They come over here and we started doing chainsaw work. We met Tim Burleson. Well, and then when I met Tim Burleson, I met Alan Bowles, the man that owns the trucking company here with the rock equipment. And he's
Yeah,
like, listen, he said, leave all you buddies right here. I got to take you down the road. I want to show you something. He's like, I got you a place where you set you up a base camp. And he brought us down here and he introduced me to Mr. Carson. And he
wow.
told me at that point in time, he's like, you don't work for Tim no more. He's like, you work for me. He's like, you need anything in this community? He's like, I'll give it to you. He said, nobody want to admit it, but I'm the mayor of this town. He said, he'll say, there'll nothing move around here without me knowing it. And after a while, I figured out he's definitely got more money than anybody in this town. So he become a good friend of mine. And he introduced me to Mr. Carson. And that first day, I had 22 guys with me. We had 16 trucks, 16 trailers, 16 machines and bobcats, and everybody had a side by side and a piece of heavy equipment.
Yep.
And we come in here and we was working with Tim, going up and down the creeks, helping Alan and Tim out in the creeks, and I done that for several weeks. And I worked up back and forth, Green Mountain, Red Hill, went into Swanano and everything, and done all that. Well, after I tore my trailer and my truck, and
Hmm.
you got, your whole rig's tore up. You get all your equipment towed off the side of the mountain. I got in my side by side. I rode into Barnersville, went down there to eat me a hamburger at D&D, and I didn't talk to nobody because they was like, "Well, what's wrong with you?" I was like, "I got a $40,000 trailer tore into pieces and a truck that won't shift gears or go nowhere." I said, I'm gonna go home. I think this is done." And I went home, and I come back. I went home on a Sunday night, and I sat there. By Monday night, I was down at the airport renting a truck, and I said,
No.
I'm going back up there. So I took off back up here, and then when I got back up here, I had some off-grid jobs. It was way up on a mountain. I got power back established and got them water back established, fixed a
Mhm.
couple wells and stuff. And I was running out of money. And I said, I pulled up back up here to the farm, and Mr. David Carson, he said, where you been at? He said, I thought you done quit. He said, we need to build some tiny houses. He said, I got this woman back here in my camper. He said, I ain't even paid for this camper yet. He said, the man just let me take it to look at it to see if I wanted it. He parked it here, and he said, now I got this woman living in it with her son. And he's like, we got to get her out of there. And he said, and then my other neighbor over here is living in her minivan out back. And he's like, we got to build some houses. And I said, well, when you want to start? And he said, well, whenever you can get some people together. I'm like, well, I ain't got no people. Everybody, I'm by myself this week. And I said, I'm going to buy lumber. I'll start building one. So me and the farmer's son, Cal and Redbeard, we got out here and we built the first 2 decks. And we didn't have no idea how to build a shed. I ain't built them nothing like we build them now. You know what I mean? You seen them. You seen me while I was doing it. And I
You
got, you know, I got in deep, and I had no idea how I was going to deliver the sheds. I had only the money that the church had given me and what was left, my personal money. And
Mhm.
I was like, I can build 10 sheds. I can build 10 sheds, and I can go home. I can feel satisfied. Well,
Yep.
then Tim kept telling me, hey, you need to talk to Sam. And what was the lady's name that was, she had a funny name. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, you need to call her. I was like, I ain't got time to call neither one of them people. I'm that busy working. I'm out here working. And we was just grinding, and he showed up one day and he said, Tim told me, he said, you're gonna see something today. It's gonna change your perspective on this whole thing. And Amos and Alvin Lineker,
Yep.
obviously Amos and Alvin, everybody knows who they are. The rad dudes, best of the best. I loved them from the day I met them. They showed up with that load. I think they had 8 on the big semi, and then they had 3 on the pickup truck, and they had their English or white guy driver, American, whatever, regular drivers, and they were both riding.
Yep.
I was like, who are these Amish guys? And I was just fascinated about it, and they're like, you work for Sam? You work for Sam? I'm like, no, I don't even know Sam. I'm like, I'm just here at this farm. This farmer let me use this farm. I'm building sheds back here. And then they come back there, they get a kick out of it, how I'm trying to build sheds. You know what I mean? And I was like, I made a video about it. I was like, at the point in time, I was like, I got to start showing people what's going on up here.
Yep.
So I made a video, and then it was about a couple days later, you showed up.
Yep.
And everything's history after that. I mean, it was like God sent you. Everybody says you're an angel, Sam, but I believe that you're more than an angel. You know what I mean? A disciple. You know what I mean? Because you brought me right in, and we we were meant to work together. I didn't know that I didn't know what I was going to do, but when you told me that you was going to do 100, I was like, well, I got to do more than 10, you know. And then here we are, and people ask me all the time. Mr. Carl tells everybody we'll be at a restaurant. They'll say, you're them guys that build a tiny house. Yep, and our goal is 1,000. We're going to build 1,000. I'm like, Mr. Carl, you got to stop telling everybody that.
Uh,
But I don't even count no more. I think it's over 600. I told everybody tonight, I was like, I'm sure we broke 600.
I got a rolling number going in my head yet that kind of keeps me online a little bit, and every once in a while I'll back up and check it based off of that. So I kind of know where I'm at, but it's like at this point it's not it's never been about the number. The 100 to start with was to make the basic, and it wasn't even 100, it was 50 donated sheds, and we were going to raise enough money to build 50. So it was 50-50 to get to 100. and we had the 100 donated sheds within 24 hours. Done. Now they want
24 hours is all it took, really.
4 hours to get 100 donated sheds verbally. Took about 3.5 weeks to get them all brought in and to get them delivered and set up. But we did 100 the first month, and it's been crazy ever since. It's just been, oh, look at there, you fixed it.
I figured out how to do it. I love looking at my niches, but I didn't want to look at them. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're at Carson's farm in the cabin.
Yep, I'm here in the cabin. This is the cabin. This is Mr. David Carson's cabin. He built this when he come back from up Maryland, when he finally decided to settle here where the farm he grew up on. He built this cabin, and these beams that's in the ceiling here and these cleats that are on the wall there, they are from Tobacco Barn, where he used to hang tobacco as a boy. Yep. So when he tore that tobacco barn down, he brought these posts over here and built this cabin and the wood stove and everything. It's just real cowboy stuff over here, you know? It's
a little strange. You're actually across the river from the farm, the river that hammered, and you have to go through the river because the bridge hasn't been rebuilt yet.
Exactly. The bridge is blowed out, so I drive through the river in that rental truck. Them new Fords, they don't have grease fittings, so I done washed all the grease out of this one I've been driving for a month.
No.
I keep going back to rent more trucks, and they're like, you better keep that truck. We're going to have to give you an Expedition or a Suburban this week. I'm like, So I keep the old 6-cylinder Ford out here, the Power Boost, but it is about 2.5 foot deep right now. It comes up on the running boards. You ain't gonna. It's not on the tires. It's on the running boards. I basically tear the front air dams off all these rental trucks, and before I take them back, I have to unbolt them so they don't know they were there, and I turn them in. But besides the point, this creek house was saved. The water come up about 15 foot away from the front porch out here. I'll show you one day. The water just stopped. But if the water would have ran up about another 10, 15 foot, it would have flooded this house out.
Wow.
But,
Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. This was part 1 of a 2-part episode, so be sure to listen next week to finish today's podcast.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.